Good afternoon. Myself Neha Singh, and the course name is ZOB 1111 for the first semester. So, in today's class, we mainly cover the topics the protozoa, porifera, and the coelenterate, which includes their silent features and the classification and the life cycle with their reproductive cycles. So, first, we mainly focuses on the protozoa. Protozoa is belongs to the phylum and is belongs to the two kingdom of classification. So two kingdom classification is given by the Linnaeus, and it's comes under the class of the Protista according to the five kingdom of classification. So as per the structure, it is a unicellular, and that means it classified in the unicellular organism in under the Protista group. And the Anton Louis Bernoulli is firstly observed this protozoa, which namely Venticella convallaria, and the Goldfuss has first coined the term protozoa, which is mean to protos the first, and the zoo means the animal. I don't know. I'm so. Was the habitat of protozoa. So protozoa is mainly freshwater, marine water organism which lives in the freshwater like ponds, lakes, rivers, and the streams. And the marine water example is deep sea, which includes the dinoflagellates and the marine ciliates. And they also live in the soil, like amoeba and flagellated and ciliated protozoans. And also they lives as in the host organism, which causes the various kind of diseases like sleeping sickness. The causing vector is a trypanosoma, and their vector is cc fly. And like the malaria, which is caused by the plasmodium protozoan, so it is also lived as an host organism. And they also live in the extreme environments like the high temperatures and salinity and acidity is also it's also able to live in extreme environments. So the general characteristics of the protozoa, it's that they have a symbiotic relationship in with the algal, and also they are free living. So as we know that protozoa have a pseudopodia for the locomotion and flagella and the cilia. So for these for through these kind of structures, the protozoans are able to doing their locomotory behavior. And they are colonial or solitary both, because like in colonial forms, like cladospongia are lives in a colonial forms, and like amoeba they are they are lives in a solitary. So there are different types of body symmetry like spherical, radial, bilateral, and the asymmetrical. So the Giardia, which constitute a bilateral symmetry, whereas the amoeba, the most important one organism in the class of the protozoa, which constitute as the asymmetrical body symmetry. And as a nutrition, we suppose that protozoan is either the osmotrophic, holozoic means the food is taken by the ingestion, or holophytic, which is the parasitic or the saprophytic. Parasitic, that means which lives on the other organism, and the saprophytic, which lives on the dead organism material. And the respiration is the anaerobic type, which is occurs in a parasitic species. And the excretions happens by the contractile vacuoles or by the diffusion across the surface of the body. So and as we know that in the reproductive cycle, there have a two kind of reproductive cycles, the asexual and the bisexual. The asexual reproduction is occurs by the binary fission, multiple fission, plastogamy, budding, and the other asexual methods. And the sexual reproduction is involves the conjugation, syngamy, and other practices. So we mostly believe the protozoans are the immortal. That means they just subject to the natural death, because the protozoans is comprises the somatoplasm and the germ cells, so which are not able to dead in for a long term of time period. So uh, then comes under the classification of protozoa. So the protozoan classification is comprises on four phyla, which comprise the Sarcomastigophora, Sporozoa, Nidospora, and the Celiophora. So first we focuses on the Sarcomastigophora. The subphylum Sarcomastigophora, as we know that protozoans have a locomotory organelles like pseudopodia, flagella, and cilia, and so the Sarcomastigophora have a, locomotory organelles like pseudopodia and the flagellae, and it includes three superclasses, which are the Mastigophora, Oplinata, and the Sarcodena. So first, the superclass of Mastigophora, this the body is mainly covered by the pellicle. So what's the mean of the pellicle? Pellicle means in animals there have a cell wall. So instead of a cell wall, there have a pellicle, which is the proteinaceous part. So instead of a cell wall, the Mastigophora body is covered by the pellicle, and there are a locomotory organelle, the flagella. There are two kinds of flagella. So the short one and the small one, or the longitudinal or the transversely. And the reproductive is in the Mastigophora is the asexual, so which is done by the binary fission. The and Mastigophora is also, so the superclass Mastigophora is includes two classes, which is the Phytomastigophora and the Zoomastigophora. The Phytomastigophora, which is the free living protozoans, and it's mostly includes the euglenoids and the dinoflagellates, which constitute the chlorophyll in their chromatophores. So the euglena, which we knows that both of euglena and dinoflagellates are most important for our environment, as we know that the red tide term, red tide, in which the oceans become the red, so the term is called the red tide. So this red tide is just because of the dinoflagellate, because it's have a red pigment, a green pigment, and yellow pigment. So according to the red pigment, the sea converts into the red color, so it's called the red tide due to the presence of the red dinoflagellates. The example is the guanulates. Then they are autotrophic or heterotrophic in the nutrition, which means they suppose not to take their own generate their food by own. They just depend on the other things like photosynthesis. Or heterotrophic means they just supposed to take in food by the saprophytic part. Then comes with the Zoomastigophora. Zoomastigophora is mainly the parasitic, which lives on the other body organism, and the chloroplast is absent in these protozoans, and they are holozoic, means the food is taken by the ingestion method, in which the ingestion is applied for the food taking or process. So there and the saprophytic or the parasitic. So we all know the words, the meaning of the saprophytic, where the food mainly comes by the dead organism, and the parasitic, which we when we take our food from the another organism. The example of Zoomastigophora is Trichonympha and Trypanosoma. Trypanosoma, we all know that it is responsible for the sleeping sickness disease. The vector of this disease is CC fly. Then the second superclass is Oplinata. As we know that there is a four superclasses. So second one is the Oplinata. Oplinata is behave like a commensals or parasites in the gut of the frogs and toads, and there have a binary fission and plastogamy for the asexual reproduction, while the sexual reproduction is occurred by the anisogamy. Anisogamy is the term in which when there have a dissimilar type of gametes, means the fusion of the dissimilar gametes. So this called the anisogamy term. And the example of this, the Opelina and the Zellerilla. The third superclass is Sarcodina. Sarcodina is comprises the pseudopodia for the locomotion, and this includes three classes: the Rhizopodia, Pyroplasmy, and the Actinopodia. These are the important class for the protozoan phylum. The first Rhizopodia is they have a naked body, and they have a calcareous porous shell. So calcareous means they have a calcium porous shell. And for locomotion, as we know, they have a, because here the Sarcodina is comprises a pseudopodia, so all we know the Rhizopodia have a pseudopodia for the locomotion. And the most importantly, the amoeba and the entomoebas comes under this class of the Rhizopodia. And the second one is the Pyroplasmy. Pyroplasmy is the behave like a parasitic protozoans, and the locomotory organelles are absent in this. So the example of this, Babesia we all knows, that is the important one part of the protozoan phyla. And the third one is the Actinopodia. Actinopodia includes the subclasses Heliozones, Radiolarians, and Acantharians. The There have a special kind of locomotory organs which is called the exopodia. Exopodia is a type of a pseudopodia also. And these have a skeleton in the form of a siliceous cell and siliceous scales and spines, means like a scales and spines are present in this actinopodia organism. And the example of this, the Corosium actinophorus and Acanthometra, the shell of the dead radiolarian, which includes on the accumulate on the ocean floors and form the radiolarian O's. So it forms just a layer of these shells on the floor of the ocean. Then the subphylum second is Sporozoa or Apicomplexa. Sporozoa is have the locomotory organelles are absent in this class of the phylum, and this mainly includes the three classes: the Telospora. Telospora is have a sporozoids. There have a sporozoid which is long and elongated types, and they reproduce both asexual and bisexual. And the example is the Plasmodium and Monocystis. The second one is the class is Toxoplasmy. The spores is absent in this class, but there have a asexual reproduction which is occur by the internal budding. And where the in budding we knows that two daughter cells are fused and produced within a mother cell. So the example is the Toxoplasma. And the third one is the Haplospory. The spores are amoeboid and they reproduce by multiple fission as the asexual reproduction. Then the third subphylum is Nidospora. They are parasitic, and locomotory organelles are absent in this class, and this mainly includes the Myxosporidae and Microsporidae. The class one, Myxosporidae, these are the extracellular parasites, while the Microsporidae, as the name suggests of both of them, they are the intracellular parasites, Myxo and Micro. The fourth one is the Celiophora. Celiophora, this phylum mainly includes the Ciliata class, and which have a locomotion and food capture, which have a cilia for the locomotion and the food capturing movement. So that is why the class, obviously we if we understand uh, to learn this class, so ciliata, which means they have a cilia for the locomotion and the food capturing. Then comes on the life cycle of the paramecium. So the life cycle of the paramecium is mainly include. mainly include the binary fission and the conjugation and the encestation. So first we know the binary fission. In the binary fission, so we know that binary fission is the part of the asexual reproduction in the paramecium, which involves the cells which creates the two genetically identical daughter cells. So in this we know the paramecium is includes the two nucleus, the macronucleus and the micronucleus. The macronucleus is covered all the activities, while the micronucleus cover the reproductive part of the paramecium. So in this binary fission, the macronucleus first goes through the fragmentation with each daughter cell, which inheriting a portion of the fragmented macronucleus, and then additionally the micronucleus undergoes a mitosis, and one of the resulting micronuclei is allocated to each other daughter cells. So we know that there have a macronucleus and the micronucleus. So what happens in this case, there have a part of there is a paramecium, the macronucleus is goes into this daughter cell, and they through the fragmentation and inheriting a portion of the fragmenting macronucleus. So fragmented macronucleus. Then what happens here, the these cells is this nucleus is divided into two parts, two subparts. The one is here and the another one is here. So and these two nuclei is further divided into two separate parameciums. So here we say that through the binary fission there are two structures of the parameciums generated, that is the two daughter cells, so which is called the binary fission. And the second one is the conjugation. In the conjugation we knows that it constitutes a type of the sexual reproduction which entitles the transfer of a genetic material between two organisms. So here we knows that uh, in this there have a dividing of the nuclei by the mitosis. So in mitosis there have a separation of the separation of the one cell into the two identical cells, so which is called the mitosis. And the second one is this conjugation, in which there are a transfer of a genetic material between the two organisms. So through the conjugation the two paramecium cells, as we know about from the terminology conjugation, which means there have a two paramecium cells which is closely related to each other and at the oral group, and where the micronucleus undergoes meiosis to generate haploid gametes. Here the micronucleus is undergoes for the meiosis division in which these generate the four identical daughter cells. So here the micronuclei undergoes a meiosis division to generate a haploid gametes. Then these gametes are interchanged and fused to produce zygote, and which experience a rapid mitotic division to form a fresh macronucleus and micronucleus. So here the same thing is goes here. The micronucleus and the macronucleus divides by the meiosis and the mitosis division to give rise to the fresh macronucleus and the micronucleus, and eventually the conjugating organisms separate, each harboring and a blend of genetic material from both the parents. So if we knows that there have a nucleus of both the paramecium, so obviously there have a genetic material of both the parents from the both the parents. So there have a two kind of two kind of divisions takes place, the meiosis and the mitosis division, to produce a zygote. Then encestment, this process is mainly occur at the time where there have a adverse environmental conditions in which they are not supposed to live. So in that time of duration the encestment process is occurs when there have a food scarcity, or if there have any kind of toxin present there. So during this phase what happens, the cells the cell is mainly forms a the cyst, which is the protective cyst, and which undergoes a metabolic adjustment. And these metabolic adjustments and the protect this cyst is mainly covers the body, and which mainly protects their body from the harsh conditions like any toxins or and like any food scarcity, because they have a metabolic adjustment, so which helps to the foods is which helps in the food scarcity. And further, if there have a favorable conditions is again occur, so the cyst is again breaks and allowing them their natural processes and resume their regular functions. So this is the life cycle of the paramecium, which includes the asexual one and the asexual reproduction, and the which includes the conjugation and mitotic fission, which we already read here, the binary fission conjugation. So here the both the uh, processes occurs here in the life cycle of this. Then we comes under the Porifera, the second class of the protozoa, the Porifera. Porifera is mainly the aquatic, solitary, and colonial both, and this is mainly dependent on the marine with the freshwater species. So they are sessile, or they display a asymmetrical or radial symmetry, because we see the Porifera, they have a radial body symmetry. So, and their body is contains the mesophyll, which is a gelatinous non-cellular matrix, and the body cells are loosely arranged and do not stabilize definite layers, and the body contains a numerous incurrent pores, which is called the ostia, and there have a osculum, which helps in the canal system, water canal system in the seawater. So and the body cavity, all we know is that there have a canal system, water canal system. So obviously the body cavity is a segmented, and there have a Kynocytes, which is the most prominent characteristics of Porifera. Kynocytes of flagellated collar cells are both are the most important characteristics of this phylum of the Porifera, and there have a calcareous skeleton, uh, calcareous type of skeleton, and the digestion is intracellular, and there have a the respiratory and the excretory organs are not present in this phylum. Instead, the canal system, as we know that for the excretion and the respiration, the canal system is responsible in the Porifera phylum. So the sponges are hermaphrodite. So hermaphrodite, which means they have a cross link between the two sexes. So comes under the classification part of the Porifera. There have a three classes. The first one is the Calcarea, second is the Hexacitinellida, and the third one is the Demospongia. So it is classified into three classes. So Calcarea, which is mainly include the Clethrina and Sipha. So it is a marine sponges, which is typically found in the shallow water, and they are small in size. The As we know that the Porifera body composed of the calcareous spicules, which is contribute to their cylindrical body shape. And the Hexacitinellida, this species is characterized by its six red glossy spicules, which means there have a six spicules, which is glossy type. So its structure is like a race, so it's called a six red glossy spicules, which possesses the capacity to extend in length ranging from 10 to 30 centimeters. And it is primarily located on the lower strata of the ocean, not on the upper one. It is located on the lower strata, that in the deep sea. And this organism is resembling like a finger like canals. So, and they mostly contain the inorganic element. So due to the finger-like resemblance, it appears like a cup or the vase type structure, And the example of this Euplectilla and Hylonemma. Euplectilla is mainly looking like a vase type of a structure, and so that is why the morphology is basically objects to resemble it like a cup or a vase. And the third one class is the Demospongi. Demospongi have observed in a various colors because of the presence of the pigments. So due to the various kinds of pigments is have a various colors, and it's also found in the beneath this depth of the sea, and on the shallow water. And the majority and the presence, the skeleton of this Demospongia is variable, and the body exhibit either a rounded or a flattened morphology, because they have a flattened morphology, like as we all see the Spongogilla, which is the most popular part of the Porifera phylum. In the cell type and the canal system in sponges, there have a four to five types of cells in exhibit in the class of Porifera. The collar cells, which are also called the quanocytes, amoebocytes, and the pinacocytes, porocytes, and mesophyll units. So the collar cells, these are the most important one cell type of the Porifera, which is also called the quanocytes. And the their flagellum or whip-like appendages is surrounded by a characteristics of collar-like structure, because they have a flagellum which looking like a structure of collar. So that is why it's called the collar-like structure. By beating their flagella, quanocytes produce water currents, and they suck the water from the sea and into the sponge body through tiny holes or called, which is called the ostia. So as we know, then in the water canal system, the ostia plays a most important role for the water current to take in a water from the seawater, and goes through the osculum. The food particles is also captured by these collar cells, and from the water of the sea. So it's also helps in the food capturing, or also in the phagocytosis. Phagocytosis, which means there have a ingestion of a cells, which are called the cellular ingestion. And the second one is the amoebocytes, which or the archaeocytes. The amoebocyte cells are the gelatinous, have a gelatinous matrix, which makes the spongy body of these sponges. And they mainly includes the spongin and the spicules in their skeleton body structure. And the transportation of other material like the nutrients and the waste products is throughout the sponge body. Then pinacocytes are the another one example of the poriferous cells. They are the flat or the epithelial like cells, which makes up the sponge outer layer, which called the pinacocyte. And the porocytes is like a specialized cells which called the porocytes, which creates the ostia or apertures in the sponge's body where water enters. So porocytes is just behave like uh, important aperture through which the water enters into the sponge's body in the water canal system. So they mainly manage the filtration of the water by adjusting the flow of the water into the sponges. So it's mainly, because the name suggests, it's the porocytes. So porocytes is mainly focuses on the filtration part of the water, because it's a pore. We can say the pore like structure. So pore is the filtration. Then the last one is the mesophyll units, which containing the different cell types, including the glandular, sensory, or immunological responses cells. Then the type of canal system in sponges. So there are four types of canal systems in these porifera. The first one is the ascenoid, second is the syncoid, third is the leuconoid canal system, and the fourth one is the Ragon type. So in the first one, Eskinoid type of canal, water canal system, this mainly represent the basic canal system observed in the Leucosolynia. So in this, there have a seawater which comes under the ostia. Then this goes into the spongocoel and osculum. As we know, through this osculum, there have a structure, cup-like structure. I think there is a cup-like of structure. So through this, the water is goes outside from the body, and they have a most important role in the osculum to expel the water from the body. Then in the syncnoid canal system, which is mainly characterized by the Eskinoid type. So it's have a seawater which is goes into the dermal ostia. As we know, there have a ostia, and here is a dermal ostia through the dermal. And there then it's create a incurrent canal, then goes on the prosopiles, then the radial canals, and then goes into the apopyle structure. These are all the structure of the sponges. And then the main spongocele is osculum and the outside, as there are spongocele, osculum, and outside. So then the third one is leuconoid canal system. In this leuconoid canal system, the mainly the example is the spongilla. So in the spongilla, the most probably the sycnoid type of canal system is mainly resemblance of this, because the apophyles and prosophiles are both are the characteristics is comes under this class. So as we know, the seawater comes and goes into the ostia, which forms a in current canal and goes into the prosophiles, which goes into the chambers, the flagellated chambers, then enters into the apophyles, and then forms a excurrent canals, or goes into the osculum for to go outside the from the body. So incurrent and excurrent, as you know, that incurrent for the entering into the body, excurrent for the outside, goes outside from the body. Then Ragon type, it is a classification category in this leuconoid canal system. In members of the class Desposponges derived from the larval stage known as the Ragon. So it is given this designation. So there are four types of water canal system. The most important one is the Eskinoid canal system, which is mainly asking in exams also. So you can refer to this Eskinoid canal system, which is the important one water canal system. Then the reproduction in cyclone. So there are asexual reproduction and the sexual reproduction. Asexual, as we know, by the budding and the regeneration. So budding, we previously studied in the protozoa one, the budding, when the small structure like this is occur. So it's called the bud, and this process is called the budding. So in the budding, the body of cyclone, the when the condition is favorable, the small projections arises from the basal region of the adult sponges. So the small projection is called the this one is the small projections which is arise, and small projections grows and develops into the small bud. That is why it's called this process called the budding. After some time, the bud separates from the body of the parent. This bud is becomes separated here, and it forms a new another body. So through the budding, as we know, this produce a genetically identical body of the previous one. So here you can see that there have another body which is comes by the budding process. Here the small bud is formed in the basal region, then it grows and it's separated and it forms another body which is mainly resemblance of the previous ones. So the budding processes occurs in the reproduction in the cycle. Then through the regeneration, in the regeneration is mainly the process in which to repair, to regenerate these identical structures of any organism with the same function. So in this, as you know, that this organism is given two identical organ to another identical organism by the regeneration. Because in regeneration, you can take the example of the planaria, or sorry, on hydra also. In the hydra, what happens, there are two hydra. If you cut sorry, there are one hydra. If you cut it hydra in between, just like you can imagine, this is a hydra, and if you cut it this here in middle of the part, and this two parts of the hydra is give a two different hydra in full body structure, in which is identical of this originating hydra. So it's a part of the regeneration when the one organism is give rise to the two another body of the organism which is similarly identical of this previous or originating one. Then the sexual reproduction is include the fertilization process, in which there are a sperm and the ova, which comes in the fusion, and they are fused to each other and produce a zygote, and this zygote is goes into the fertilization process, and the sexual reproduction is occurs through this process. So in sperm, and archaeocytes enlarge in size and function as a sperm mother cells, and in ova, the archaeocytes enlarge and function as egg mother cell. And this is covered by flat cells, while cell gets its food supply from the nurse cell. Nurse cells is basically uh, important for the to give the nutrients to the ova. And the sperm mother cell undergoes division and spermatocytes are formed. And in the male reproductive system, the are formed, and through this, these spermatocytes is further developed into the sperms, and by the process of spermiogenesis. And this sperm is attached to the ova, and because there have a sperm have a three three body structure, like head, middle region, which includes the mitochondria, and the neck region, which is called a neighborhood structure, and the tail. And so the tail, there have a tail in the sperm, and this through this tail, the sperm is behave like a moving motile in their behavior. So through this motile behavior, this sperm is attached with the ova, and then it's fused and by the meiosis, and it's undergo a meiosis division and form the ovum. And after that, the fertilization occurs, and the zygote is formed. In this, we know that when we say the divisions, so we mainly focuses on the mitosis and meiosis division. So because through the meiosis division, there are a reductional kind of division of mitosis, through which they produce haploid cells, and then the meiosis division occurs, so it's give them identical cells. So that is why then comes on the class of cylindrate. Cylindrate, as we know, it's like it includes hydra, the most important uh, water organism, and it's found in sea, and like sea anemones, which is found in salt water, while others like hydra are found in fresh water. They could be solitary or live in colonies. Both are the habitat of this Coelenterata phylum. This also lives in a solitary manner, or this also lives in a colonial manner. And like Aurelia are the best one example of the Coelenterata phylum. So this Aurelia is swim freely or float freely like coral, and some lead inactive lives. So they have a flat, cylindrical, and cup-shaped bodies. The bodies may resemble sea anemones in that they are fully bilaterally symmetrical. They have a, as we know that in previous we studied the radial symmetry, radial body symmetry, but coelenterate is have a bilateral symmetry, or they may be a radially symmetrical with a central gastrovascular system, but mainly it's constitute a bilateral body symmetry. So it's a multicellular organism, while the protozoan is a unicellular. Coelenterate is a acoelomate. There are no coelomate constituent in their body, so that is why it's referred to the acoelomate animals. It's a they have a holozoic kind of food nutrition where the food is taken by the ingestion, and this organism is have a tentacles and a smooth muscles fibers for the locomotion. So tentacles are helpful for the locomotory behavior in these coelentrates, and obviously the both types of the reproduction is occur in this by the gametes and by the budding and the fission. Then the classification of coelentrates is classified into three categories: the hydrozoa, schizozoa, anthozoa. The hydrozoa is mainly constitute Hydrozoa is mainly derived from the hydra, which means the water, and zoon, which means the animals. These organisms have following characteristics, like they are lives in a solitary manner, and they are marine or freshwater, and they are mostly the dominant form among them in polyps. So polyps are the main characteristics of this coelentrates class. And they have a mesoglia which is acellular, and they have a planula larvae in their life cycle, which is produced as a result of the sexual reproduction. So which is the important one, planula larvae. They have two body forms, the medusa and the polyp. Both are the important one body forms. The hydrozoa has a nidocytes and present in their bodies, and these are also known as stinging cells. And this class is includes seven different orders. So example of hydrozoa are hydra, tubularia, obelia, physalia. Then the second one is the schizophosia. So, phosia. This belongs to the second class of the coelentrates. This organism has the following characters, like it's also the marine, and they also live in a solitary manner and swimming freely. Their medusa is schizophosia, resembling like an umbrella shape, which is large bell shaped, and they also have a polyps, which are either completely absent in this organism or extremely short lived. So the example of this, the jellyfish, which is also called the Aurelia. The third one is the Anthozoa. Antho means the flower-like animal. So this represent like a flower-like. So its name is Anthozoa. Anthozoa is mainly the marine habitat, which is living in solitary and colonial type. And these organisms do not have a medusa body part, Medusa and polyp are, as we know here, that there are two distinct body forms, Medusa and polyp. So here we knows that there are a Medusa and polyp, but here there are Medusa is absent in this. The mesoglia of Anthozoa is amoeboid, consist of amoeboid cells or fibrous connective tissues, and they are gastrovascular cavity. This organism comes under, sorry, this organism which comes under the this class Anthozoa is protects its body tissues and lends support to its body by secreting these substances around its body. The reproduction in Anthozoa class. So the Anthozoa belongs to the same sex. So some are hermaphrodite, while others are segregated into separate sexes. Mostly they are hermaphrodite. So they reproduce in between each other like a hermaphrodite manner. Example of Anthozoa is Xenia, Teloste, Matridium, Tubipora, and more. The morphology and the life cycle of the Obelia, which is the example of the Coelenterate phylum. Obelia is a freshwater organism. It has a branching brown or white tree-like appearance, and Obelia is mainly differs in height by the minimum of 2 centimeters, and vertical hydrocolous threads, androhorizontal hydrozyte threads make up the body, Obelia body. They have a body resemblance like a jellyfish, and they have a lack of ganglia and brain, but do have the neural network, which means the ganglia brain are absent, but the net, but the network of the neural is present in this. There, as we know that there have a gastrovascular cavity, which is used in the digestion. So the polyp and medusa are two body forms of this phylum. So they have a asexual reproduction by budding and budding method, which is which we already studied in this part. So the asexual reproduction is occurred by the budding method, and the sexual reproduction, which is the medusa generation, is occurs during the spawning. Mature medusa discharge gametes, egg and sperm. Obviously, we know that sexual reproduction is occurs by the fusion of the eggs and sperm into the water, and the fertilization occurs to create to produce a zygote, which is identical by the taking place of the various divisions. Then comes the planular larvae. The fertilized eggs, which is developed into the free swimming planktonic planular larvae. So, after eventually settling on an appropriate substrate, planular larvae transfer into the primary polyps. So, it plays an important role in the life cycle of the coelenterate, the planular larvae. Then, the formation of the polyps. So, planular larvae, as we know, that give rise to the primary polyps. Here we know that planular larvae transfer into the primary polyps, which in turn cause the polyp formation to begin. So, as a result of these original polyps budding to produce additional polyps, the colony grows and sperm. So, asexual reproduction is the responsibility of the polyp generation, because here asexual reproduction in the polyp generation. Then the medusa generation, the sexual reproduction. The primary polyps can, under specific circumstances, develop into the specialized reproductive polyps, which is known as the gonozoids, and it subsequently undergo a process which is called the strobilation to give rise to the medusa stage. And this medusa and obelius life cycle are completed when the mature medusa are discharged into the water, because the medusa is the part of the sexual reproduction. Then comes on the corals and leaves, coral reefs. So coral reefs is the part of the sea water. They forms a layer on the sea, the depth layer of the on the sea. So it forms a reef layers, which creates a very gelatinous type of structure on the water level. So coral reefs is created by millions of tiny polyps forming large carbonate structures, and are the basis of a framework and home of for hundreds of thousands and not millions of other species. Which means when the millions of tiny polyps is created a layer on the sea by the millions of hundreds of time durations. So it forms that these tiny polyps creates a layer on the sea, which creates the coral which creates the reef like structure. So it's called the coral reefs. And there are some importance for the environment, and there it possesses some ecological economical significance. So as a economical ecological significance, the marine species, which include fish, invertebrates, and algae, they all depends on the reefs for their home, breeding grounds, and food. Because because the fish is mainly dependent on these coral reefs for their food, and these are the part of the also the economic part. So by promoting tourism fisheries, so the millions of money is mostly generated by these coral reefs in the sea, in the fisheries area. Then the conservation. So by creating a marine protected areas, and cutting the pollination and runoff, and launching restoration projects like coral gardening and transplanting, are all the part of the conservation part, or conservation for the coral reefs and to preserve the coral reefs. The worldwide impact of these coral reefs is that if we remove the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, so coral reefs are very helpful to keep the sea healthy and reduce the effect of the climate change, because it's forms a layer on the sea water, and this coral reef is the part of the food for the various kinds of species, which include the fish, invertebrates, and algae. So that is why it is very helpful for this sea water to maintain their atmosphere healthy, and to reduce the effect of the climate change. And the term coral bleaching is mainly uh, referred if we expel the corals. So this called the coral bleaching. And the importance of the coral reefs is that there is the site of the petroleum deposits. The coral reefs is have a rich biodiversity in oceans, so it's have a decorative value also. And this organism is used in to treat cancer, arthritis, and Alzheimer's also. And the skeleton of these corals is also served as a raw material for the preparation of mortar, cement, and life. So they have a huge importance in our worldwide level, or in our economical level, in our ecological level. So coral reefs maintain a huge importance on our life cycle, or on the life cycle of the seawater. So these are the some questions answers part. So we know that the Porifera phylum is have a water canal system in the sponges, which is help in the food gathering, respiratory exchange, and removal of the waste. Because there are ostia and osculum, the two main important part. Ostia is important to entering the food into the body, and osculum is the part of the to expel the body from the sponge, expel the water from the sponge body. The second is the current of water flow in the spongosil is maintained by osculum. So osculum is also the main important part for to expel the water from the sponge body. Third is the in the life cycle of ovalia, asexual reproduction primarily occurs through the budding. Fourth is the what distinguishing characteristics of Coelenterata is it? So it's have a nidocytes. And the fifth one is what is the primary anthozoan body shape found in organism, which is the polyp. Then, if you have any queries relevant to the subject, feel free to ask on the mail address neha.singh 1916 at mangalayatan.edu.in. And the next class will be held on the 22nd of June. So we will connect on the next class to cover the next topics of the syllabus, next topic of the syllabus, which includes another phylums. Here we discover three phylums: the Protozoa, Porphyrin, Coelenterate. So in the next class we covers three another phylums. So on the 22nd of June.